me, Mitchell?
Now I can hear you. I think now
Okay, sweet. I was just talking to myself. This is a new platform for us. So you have to actually be on the stage.
Yeah, I saw that. It said join the stage button. I was like, kind of intimidating
Welcome
button.
to the stage.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, like you said, we're going to give everybody just maybe 1 or 2 more minutes and I'll intro you and kick off this series. I'm super excited about it. And then I will exit the stage. And if you see over, let's see, if you look over, hi, Patricia. I think at the bottom, it says share materials. And if you want to go ahead and click into the presentation there, you can. Do you see that down at the bottom?
Not yet.
I can also share it. So when it's time
Maybe only the host has access or something.
Let me look and see if I can give you. Yeah, it may be that I have to share it, but I'll do that in just a minute.
Okay.
While we're waiting, I'm just going to throw a note in the chat down here.
Pat from San Francisco.
For those of y'all who have already joined, we would love to hear where you're from. If you want to throw that in the chat, that would be very fun. We have all Saltbox members and also some non-Saltbox members. So we'd just love to hear where you guys are signing in from. Hey, Meredith. Okay, so as most of y'all know, Saltbox veterans know, this is going to be recorded. We record all of our sessions. So if anyone can't join, we like to be able to share them out afterwards. Hi, George. Hi, Madison. But I'm just going to go into some quick housekeeping items. Just keep in mind, throughout the call, Mitchell, people may hop on or hop off, but we will keep a close eye on this chat box and also allow for some Q&A at the end, which I'll get into in a minute. But general housekeeping items. So this is a brand new platform for us. For those of y'all who have been joining for the previous series, you'll know we were using Zoom. So thank you for your patience. If there are any hiccups or awkward pauses, I'll do my best to remedy the situation quickly. But again, let's just really use this chat on the side. If you guys have any issues with audio or anything, please let me know. For Saltbox members currently on the call, wanted to remind y'all to participate in the holiday gift guide. If you'd like to be featured, reach out to your community operations manager. And then also wanted to announce the opening of our new locations this fall. We have LA, Denver, and the Atlanta expansion all opening before the end of the year. So, if you guys know anyone who needs space in those cities and maybe that someone is you, reach out to your comm as well. I think that's kind of it for general updates. Now for the regularly scheduled programming, I encourage everybody to drop comments and questions in the chat feature. Feel free to answer and engage with one another throughout the call as well. And we'll leave some time for Q&A at the end. Our presenter today is Mitchell Chapman. He's from Georgia and he's currently based out of Atlanta. Fun fact, he's been to the Masters Golf Tournament 9 times. He's also a golf aficionado, if you can't tell by his virtual background. It's actually his real background. Mitchell's described by many as a digital marketing guru, and he's helped many brands think through strategies for email campaigns, marketing, automations, ads, analytics, and more. He owns his own consulting firm called MTC Marketing and would be happy to take any conversations with you offline if you'd like to discuss holiday plans or otherwise. And his email address is mitchell@mtcmarketing.co, and I'll drop that in the chat box as well. If you're on today, you probably already know what we plan to discuss in terms of strategy for the holiday season. But I was able to take a sneak peek at the presentation, and there's some really interesting kind of, things that you may not have thought about or things to look for, changes coming with certain platforms and things like that. So all 6 of our sessions this season are going to cover ways to support you through the holidays. But this one in particular is going to be really in prep for like Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So thank you so much for your time today, Mitchell.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for the intro. Yeah, so I sent you the slide link in addition to the PDF link in that email. But yeah, so I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. So I've been working in e-commerce and digital marketing since 2015, and previously was at Control Freak, which was we sold gaming accessories for PlayStation and Xbox, and I was primarily focused on the e-commerce channels there. But yeah, excited to go over just a lot of the different things that go with Black Friday and overall the holiday rush. But yeah, we can, and if y'all have any questions, yes, drop it in the chat and keep an eye on that, and we either group them at the end or do them as we go. But yeah, if you want to advance slide. So yeah, we're gonna go over first just general expectations for 2021, and then we're also going to talk about the different types of offers we see on Black Friday, and then the timing of those offers, really focusing on early sale or tiered release, and then diving into email and SMS specifically, honing in on segments, deliverability, and really that calendar and cadence, and then want to leave you guys with some tips and tactics to implement, some actionable things coming out of this call, and then also we have a Black Friday, Cyber Monday preparation checklist to go through as well. So in terms of 2021 expectations, we'll keep it somewhat brief, but one of the big expectations is major retailers, Best Buys, Amazons, will start announcing deals and ads November 1st. This is something we saw last year, and every year it seems like it gets a week earlier that Black Friday starts. And it has become, for these larger retailers at least, really a month-long thing. We may see some, remaining impact of COVID with store turnout, and then also, just people returning to e-commerce from last Black Friday, Cyber Monday, rather than going out and shopping. And then one of the big things that, all brands are still on heightened awareness for is, inventory issues and which items we can discount and what lead times are like. So I know that's, varies per brand. And then one of the big changes that is happening is iOS 15. It's a new update for Apple, which will affect how opens are reported. And we'll get into that specifically later because that's kind of a big change to unpack. But in terms of the types of offers, so, there's several different types of offers we see, and we always generally like to think on Black Friday, you're competing for this space and you want the biggest percent because, you're going to get more attention. But, we have seen that not always is it the highest percent off, meaning, equates to the highest, conversion. It's usually marginal, and, you can really test these offers, even the simple things like inside of, so in these categories here, price discounts is definitely the biggest we see. And people talk about it whether in terms of dollars or percentage. And that's something that can always be tested. But then there's also these other types of offers, free shipping. Shipping is more and more becoming a big factor. It's, the reason for most abandoned checkouts is either the shipping time or the cost of shipping. And also looking at BOGO, so items that, buy one, get ones. And then there are a lot of brands now leaning more into loyalty with cashback and rewards. It's newer in e-commerce, but we know we've seen like in-store, like Kohl's and other people have cashback programs for a while. And then a couple of other big ones are, one is gift with purchase. So this is one, we'll unpack all of these a little more, but gift with purchase is definitely one that personally we have seen success with in the past, because it allows you to still, sell your best sellers without, giving away the farm, but, you're able to give some item that entices a purchase, like Sephora will do, if you buy $50 or $100 of makeup supplies on that weekend, you get a free makeup bag. And some of these kind of lower cost items you can offer as an incentive for paying full price or shopping the best sellers. And then the last kind of type of offer here is bundling, so which is really more of a tiered discount, getting more percent off for the more you buy. And there's a lot to test within these buckets, and different ways to message and all that. But these are the general buckets I think of in terms of the offers. Price discounts is definitely the biggest. and some, lean into that, whether it's, up to 70% off, or, we're in really only 2 of the 100 products are on sale for 70% off, or some just do a flat site-wide discount, or some do $50 off any purchase. But price discounts usually is the biggest bucket there for how we see Black Friday sales. But wanted to call out, encouraging looking into some of these others as well, so specifically shipping and gift with purchase. And I want to talk a little bit about how we test those offers. So on the next slide, we're looking at, just during Cyber Weekend, it can really be hard to make your deal stand out. I mean, everyone's running a sale and everyone's starting it earlier to try and get in front of it to break through the noise. But really what's important is to look at your historical data, see what did good, and, but you still need to run tests to confirm. So if you had certain items last year that just really killed it on Black Friday, or a certain gift with purchase, all the historical data is super important. And definitely keep leveraging that. And, as you go into the test, you're able to have a better hypothesis. And then, so wanted to just touch on the right side here. So in the offer messaging, one I already talked about is, percent off or dollars off. This is really related to really what I consider the couch point, like what is the total price? 10% off of $100, or would you rather say $10 off? And it does vary by brand, and I feel like a lot of this, has been determined even before Black Friday Cyber Monday, just in general with sales, how your price point shakes out and what shows more value there. But that is always one test to run with, email subject lines or pop-up offers. Another big messaging that we see is up to percent off. So, up to 70% off. Dick's Sporting Goods will have, a couple of last year's models at 70% off, but the best sellers of this year still at 15% off. That's a great way to get that sticker shock, to get that initial attention. Like, every year there always seems like there's one item, like last year or 2 years ago, it was everyone had Instant Pot for $150 off. And that was kind of the sticker shock, an item that they know was hot to get attention and to get people shopping, but really then still promoting their best sellers on the pages with merchandising and trying to get more orders that way of the best sellers. The more simple setup is definitely a site-wide discount. Doesn't push certain items over others. This is one that's very common in e-commerce, but especially as we deal with, inventory issues, I think more brands will adjust to discounting items that they do have more stock off, and maybe those are the ones they are putting in the sticker shock category there, where they can give a much higher discount because they just have too much of it, whereas a lot of us do have products that we can't even get enough of. And then another one is just the time sensitive. So a lot of it is always time sensitive, and not just meaning the last chance of Cyber Monday at 8 p.m. you only have 4 hours left, but really starting it early. So a lot of them will say that you have this is a 48-hour only sale starting November 3rd. And even if other sales are coming, it's just pushing that time sensitive to try and get that early purchase. And I'll talk about that a little more in terms of the timing of tiered release and all, but one of the cons there can be, people feel like they're shopping the same offers throughout the whole month, or they start shopping elsewhere because, it just doesn't look fresh to them. The other big big discount area is tier discounts, so increasing the AOV with bundling. This is really effective for driving average order values up higher. You always will have, certain holiday shoppers that are just looking for one certain item or just a deal hunter. But the vast majority of the customers, they are browsing, they're looking, and bundles is a great way to encourage that higher lifetime value or average order value, and end up getting more products per order. And the last one here was the free gift with purchase I had mentioned. So you can get a much higher conversion for a low cost item. So, in the past at Control Freak, we had licensed goods with Call of Duty. We would have like a special Call of Duty collectible that we would give away that costed us $1, $2, $3 to make. But in the process, people were buying our new Call of Duty SKU full price and getting this as the offer with free shipping. So this is just another way to encourage even full price orders, or to take the focus off of just how much am I saving off, but giving them something new. And a lot of times it's an exclusive product. And then just wanted to, just show a couple examples. So over here on the left is, really an example of that 48-hour sale, really pushing that time sensitive. And then on the right, we have several examples from Control Freak. The first one here in the middle, the purple Black Friday one, you can see there's a gift with purchase and an up to, so it's kind of combined here. We used like a pencil banner of sorts to call out that only the first 1,000 orders are getting this free gift with purchase, which is a good way to kind of drive the urgency there. But then overall, we were doing up to 75% off select items, with the other items being, still full price or only 15 or 10% off. Yeah, and then in terms of when we talk about timing, so there is the kind of early sale versus tiered release. Those are the type of two strategies I think of. So the early sale is releasing all of your deals early, which is what we see more common now, especially with smaller catalogs, whereas tiered releases keep updating your deals. The Newegg's, Amazon's, Best Buys, they have their, the Instant Pot was the one that got all the interest in the first week, and then they keep rotating their deals. And a lot of times their most exclusive deals or their best deals were waited for that cyber weekend. But in terms of the pros and cons here, so the early sale, you do get to capture revenue early on within the sale. And it's easier to stand out from other brands, if you're talking about it earlier rather than on, Black Friday week. But the cons there is you do start to, if all of your sales are pushed here in the early stages, you're going to have lower cyber weekend sales, and you have that risk of burnout throughout the month. I've been looking at these same deals all month, or, there's not enough new here for me, and people start shopping elsewhere during that peak time frame. Because we kind of get into that mode, even if, we're always checking ourselves to think on that cyber weekend, but we all just kind of have that intent of today's the day I'm going to get the best deal. And one of the things you can do is kind of burn that out early on before they get there. So that's one of the additional advantages of tiered release. So the pros there of tiered release, you can offer that sticker shock discount on huge or on high stock items or ones that get a lot of attention. But while saving your main sale or your most exclusive items that are on sale for Cyber Weekend itself. The cons of that though is, if you wait too late, customers could have spent most of their budget that they were using for shopping for Black Friday and Cyber Monday by the time Cyber Weekend comes, especially as more and more brands keep pushing offers earlier and earlier in the year. And then just wanted to dive into email and SMS specifically. So, how we're talking about these types of offers and how we're pushing just our brand. Email and SMS is the core of how we break through there. There is advertising and tons of other ways that we're getting our messages out. But email and SMS has been really the core of Black Friday and Cyber Monday for a while. And I touched on this earlier, but wanted to just break it down a little more. So there is an iOS 15 update coming. So I know that a lot of us are even still adjusting to the iOS 14.5 update and some of the impacts it had. But iOS 15 basically is a new change. So anyone, once you update iOS 15, if you are a user of the Apple Mail app on your watch, on your Mac OS, on your phone or iPad, it will now start to hide the email open behavior. So we will no longer, as a brand, if you open the email through Apple Mail, we won't know that you opened. And a lot of, Klaviyo, all the ESPs are really trying to learn how we can adjust there. And some of them are even looking at, because really the technical way it happens is they are pretty much opening the email and caching it right when it's delivered. And they're looking at how can we look at these, pretty much non-human opens and separate those from the human ones within Apple Mail. That's really the biggest change, is how we are getting less open data. One of the other big changes is the location data. So they will now be blocking certain IP addresses. So if you're doing local send times or sending this offer to only people in Atlanta or DC or wherever in the country. Some of that city level data will be blocked now through Apple Mail. And then the other thing is it's kind of going to obscure the click-through activity by using a proxy email address. So we're not always going to know, we're going to know we got a click, we're not always going to know who clicked. And, without opens, our click-through rate is going to be off, right? Because the number of opens will be off. But so really in terms of how we have to adjust, we have to move towards click-oriented goals. Open rates are going to be inflated at first. And related to that, even the attribution for people who open will be inflated, where as Klaviyo, the default is, if you open or click an email and, an order comes in with that same email from your e-commerce store within the next 3 days, it's attributed. Now that will be basically, you can look into having a click-only attribution model or still continue to look at opens as well, but it could be slightly inflated as we have some of these extra opens. And then one of the other things is pulling yeah.
Hear me? Do you know when I know you probably can't give definitively, but do you know estimate of when this is going to happen or when this will take place?
Right. So iOS 15 is out now as of Monday. You can download it on your phone, but we typically see that it takes about 45 days for the majority of users to upgrade. So like for 14.5, it was released, but really once you start to see, for all iPhone users out there, once you start to see Apple push the pop-up of you got a new software update, which is usually about 30 days after, is when you see most of the users start to change over. But that is, yeah, so it's soon. It's already out now, so some will start transferring over there, but within the next 30 to 45 days. So by the time we're at Black Friday, Cyber Monday, you can expect to see this, for most Apple users to be fully adopted.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. And then, so that was just unpacking the iOS update. If there's any other specific questions with that, happy to chat about that later. But rather get back into email specifically, really want to talk about deliverability. This is a huge thing. So how are we appearing in our inboxes or in the customer's inboxes? So your reputation amongst Gmail, Outlook, Yahoo is really what's determining this. So the more that you send emails with a higher open rate to engage contacts, the more likely they are to put your emails in the inbox. And Cyber Weekend is, the busiest and most competitive time of the year for email. So it's easy to convince ourselves of, we need to send this email, and not enough people open it, we'll send it again. But there can be some lasting effects, and you want to make sure that, you're not harming your deliverability for even the season just following post Cyber Weekend and the rest of the holidays. So for deliverability, it's really important to look at your metrics, your open rates, your click rates, unsubscribe, your spam complaints, and you can look at these per ISP or client. So for our Gmail addresses, what's our open rate? And if we start to see that, Yahoo's at a 25%, but Gmail's at a 10 or 12%, to email only the more engaged contacts for Gmail. So deliverability is a big thing because we want to make sure we're in the inbox. We want to make sure people are seeing our offers. So one of the things you really can start to do is encouraging whitelisting by moving your emails over to the primary tab. So for non-Gmail users, I put it up here on the top, but basically you can even just entice replies, get replies to emails, and that is an engagement in Gmail's eyes, but in addition to clicks and opens. But if you want their messages to not go in the promotions folder, more in your primary, you can encourage your customers to what we call whitelist them by moving them over to the primary tab. And that can help, because the promotions tab by no means is a bad place to be in the inbox, especially during these sales. It's where a lot of people do their window shopping. They collect their promotions, they scroll through their emails, they see which ones they like. But we have to, balance that as well with, getting in the primary tab is good because, you get the notification on your phone, and you don't have to kind of scroll through to see that.
Hey, Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see the chat box on the right-hand side?
Yeah, I see it. So I see how can you get them to move to primary. So basically, it's really just a drag and drop. So like in this screenshot in the top right, you would basically just hover over the email and grab it and drag it from promotions over to primary. And the more they do that with your emails, the more it indicates to Gmail, this user prefers to get these in their inbox and not in their promotions. And that'll take effect moving forward. So that's a powerful kind of whitelist strategy. You're not going to get everyone to do it or huge portions, but you will. But how do you get them to do it? So really was just calling it out within the email. So in your email, maybe you have a GIF of someone dragging it over to the inbox, but just calling out that you want them to reply or that you want them to move it to primary so you don't miss our best offers of the year. And you can play with some of that messaging. How will Gmail measure deliverability with the new iOS update? From my understanding, average open rate's under 15% for Gmail. Gmail starts to move your emails to spam. Will this change? So Gmail, that's a very good question. From what we know so far, and I have to caveat this with as iOS 15 gets adopted, we'll see a little more and know a little more. But as we are seeing it now, Gmail is still going to know open rates as long as it's not through Apple Mail. So you shouldn't be getting punished very hard for for going too low. But we do still need to, it's a tricky scenario because you want to, for deliverability, make sure you have good open rates, but now it's hard to measure what your true open rate is with Apple Mail. So one of the things that we're encouraging people to do is to definitely look at how much of your opens are through that client. So if you pull a report of opens by email client and look at that, but so in general, the rate I don't think will change. Gmail may start to view it a little differently or measure it differently as we go on. But currently, yeah, I mean, 10% or lower is still not great. 10 to 20 is decent in their eyes, and 20% plus it's good. So I wouldn't be too worried about iOS causing emails to move to spam, but it's definitely something we should continue to monitor. All right, and then on email segmentation, so another huge part of deliverability is making sure we're not just sending to everyone all the time. We do want to send to our master list, and we want to make sure we're getting the most value, but you really have to have these segments, and in order to preserve the deliverability, email your most engaged. And the most common ways people do that is segmenting by their lifetime value, but you can determine your VIPs by more than just dollars spent. So the other criteria being, they engaged regularly, they opened, they clicked, they visited the site. And you look at those time frames of 90 days, 180 days, 365 days, or how often have they done it? They visited the site 3 times or opened emails 8 times in the last 30 days. Those are your highest engaged people. Other ways you can segment out your list is leading up to it, up to Black Friday, Cyber Weekend. You have these call outs within your emails, within your pop-ups, calling out that people should sign up so they don't miss the biggest sales of the year. And you kind of have that segment of who is specifically signing up for these notifications, even if they're not the most engaged and they open every email we send to them, who all specifically told us they're interested in Black Friday deals. And another way is dropping those hints and teasers across social. A couple of other segments there I just wanted to call out was who has purchased last holiday or last Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And then when you're looking at remails, instead of thinking, remail to everyone who hasn't opened or everyone who hasn't clicked, look at who hasn't purchased but has visited or opened or clicked, who is interested but just hasn't pulled the trigger yet, and start with those customers. And then wanted to go through some holiday personas. So this is just a really great slide from Klaviyo, just going through some of the different personas where there's deal hunters, last minute shoppers, VIPs, window shoppers, impulse buyers, and kind of what you can expect from them in terms of sales cycle and how they will interact with your sales. But in sake of time, I think we're going to go to the next one, but this will be in the slides there for you. And for SMS, so this is definitely the newest area that everyone's hopping on the train on starting last year. So you definitely want to start encouraging SMS opt-ins. by sending even email campaigns or on-site messaging, announcing that you're going to have early access to your promotion or an exclusive Black Friday, Cyber Monday offer if you're opted in to receive SMS. And we've seen that, one of the even an additional benefit now that open rates and other things and all the iOS changes, but the general benefits we've seen from SMS is it doesn't get lost in that inbox. 96% or more see or open it, or just dismiss the text. And for most brands, you get a higher click-through rate than you do for email, and sometimes a higher click-through rate on SMS than you do an open rate for email. And then the other thing is it just gets immediate traffic and action. A lot of emails, you review them at the end of the day or whenever you're in your downtime. Whenever you get a text message, we're programmed to pick up the phone and see who texted us. But more and more brands are getting into the space, and it's really a good way to break through the noise over Black Friday and Cyber Monday. And then in terms of the calendar and cadence, so this is really, really big, developing your calendar of, but you have to be open to changes on the fly as well. But some of the questions you ask yourself are, when do we start to tease the deals? When do we send the VIPs only? How many sends do we have per day? When do we remail? And if you look at the next slide, this is one that Klaviyo and a lot of the Klaviyo partners have put together, which is basically just a sample November sending cadence. So, the first one is the deals that were sent, or the deals that are teased, your weekly newsletter, then you start your VIP offers, then a regular send, and then getting into the Black Friday, Cyber Monday, you see how we are sending to our most engaged list on Monday, then our most engaged list on Wednesday, and then to our main list, because we want to preserve that deliverability. We don't want to start off our sale with a 4% open rate to our biggest list. We want to start with the 15, 20s, 25s, so we can continue to get that better inbox deliverability throughout the sale. And this is just a good resource to look at how the cadence varies relative to the year. So if you look over here on the right, there's basically these three tracks here. So track A, you're most engaged. You're aiming for 15 to 20% of these people who have engaged you in the last 90 days to open. Track B is 10 to 15%. Track C, you can see, is one we only really dip into for huge sales, which the main one being Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So you do want to dip into your main list and encourage more people to get into that engaged list. But you definitely have to do it sparingly and not oversend to those additional unengaged contacts. And then just wanted to talk through some specific tips and tactics. So wanted to just make sure y'all had something specific to implement coming out of this call. So one of the big ones you see a lot of brands do is they don't align their on-site offer. So if you have a pop-up or an email opt-in that's 10% off, change it to your Black Friday offer for that weekend. And similarly for the email automations, make sure your current discounts are called out in your welcome series, or if in your third or fourth abandoned cart email you give out a discount for 10% off, put the Black Friday deals in there. And really start to sync that together, rather than because we've seen it a lot where brands will leave their standard 10% off opter in, but people end up just closing the pop-up out because they know they're getting a better offer elsewhere. Specifically in pop-ups, it's important to make sure you're matching those there so you don't affect your collection rates during the highest traffic times of the year. And then the other way is to be sure to send to engaged audiences and build that deliverability, which is what we've talked about. You will dip in and send to that main list, but it is important to keep building that deliverability, not only for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, but the weeks following that throughout the holiday season. Another is encouraging the signups for early access and to not miss the deals. You can use campaigns and have a block or a button in there. Click here to be sure you're on the list to get notified, or be sure you're on the list for early access, or sign up for SMS. There's the different collection methods there, but really start to build that segment of who is interested in the deals. And then another tactic that we've seen is, as you get later into your deals, and you're looking at who all we've emailed, who all hasn't opened. So if you were to make a segment in Klaviyo or your ESP of who all hasn't opened or clicked or been to the site since the sale started, and sync that audience to Facebook for advertising. So you're not necessarily spending on Facebook for contacts who already know about the sale, but you're really getting that last push for contacts who aren't engaging through your other main channels. And the last tactic there is definitely, just testing your offers and messaging like we talked about. There's a lot of different types of offers, and you have to think about what fits for your inventory and your brand. Really test how those are messaged as well. Cool. So we kind of flew through that portion, but this is a Black Friday and Cyber Monday checklist that was made by Cold Smoke Creative. That's great. There's a link in here, and we're sharing that under the resources tab or handouts tab of the call as well. And it just has good resources for September, October, per month. What do you need to be doing? How do you need to be getting ready? It is, just around the corner. September is pretty much over now, and we're already into October, so it'll be here before we know it. But it's a great checklist to go over after the call to just look and make sure you're kind of on track and which areas you're thinking about.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. And like Mitchell mentioned, there's a bunch of resources that I dropped in the handout section. And the cool thing about this checklist, this is a company based in DC and, available to work with you guys if you're interested in looking them up. They're a great company. But I was going to share that the checklist is great because it actually goes beyond Black Friday as well. So there's some stuff to be thinking about, going into Q1 of next year as well. So this concludes the presentation portion. I would love to open it up to anyone on the call who would like to join us on the stage and ask Mitchell any questions.
Reading over chat now, and I'm seeing, like Marcia said, using Klaviyo for email, but SMS bump with SMS marketing.
Yeah. So I was asking, I did a poll, just
right.
asking, was everybody using for email and SMS? Majority of the group is using Klaviyo, and then there was like 40% of the call is using some other service. So I was just curious what everybody was using. The last thing that while we're waiting for some questions to float in, the last handout I'm going to add, or it's not a handout, it's a link to the where we keep all the previous sessions. So all of the recorded webinars are going to live here. Can you guys, did that work?
Yeah, I got to pop up.
Okay, cool. So if you all click that link and want to bookmark it, this session will be added to that in the next like 24 hours. But I'm so grateful y'all joined. If you have any other questions that pop up, let me go ahead and type your email in here. Mitchell at what is it?
mtcmarketing.co. Thank you.
So there's Mitchell's email. Y'all know where to find me. For anyone who's not a Saltbox member, thank you so much for joining us and getting a glimpse into our community here. Our next session is going to be on October 13th. So 2 weeks from today. So hope you'll join us. And Marcia's got one quick question before we hop off. So
So can you provide some insight on how we should be thinking about early marketing for Black Friday, Cyber Monday? The concern is as we try to get ahead of the masses with promotion, we also don't want to disincentivize people from shopping on non-sale days. Yeah, that's a very good point. So we all are, definitely trying to race and, launch earlier, so we're, standing out more, but part of that is you have to have, or for a lot of brands, you have to rotate offers or have different things that are happening later in the sale. But then also, like you mentioned, there are going to be days that are just lapses. Maybe you have a 48-hour sale from the 5th to the 7th, and then you don't have a sale again until Black Friday or Cyber Monday weekend. That can kind of de-incentivize people or cause burnout. They come to the site, they look at your content, and they see, oh, not seeing any huge sales here. They start looking elsewhere. So that is a good point. My kind of insider tip for that is, when you're thinking about your calendar and cadence ahead of this time, keep that in mind. maybe it's extending the deal for people who, for your VIPs, or making sure that you have some just base offers, whether it's free shipping or, a gift with purchase and those other times that aren't as heavy of a discount. But there is that, risk of burnout that, when there isn't a sale there, the customers are going to be less likely to shop or add to cart. No problem.
Well, thank you, Mitchell. Thank you,
Yeah.
everybody else. And
Thanks for
we'll
having me.
chat soon.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.